All right, we'll call this meeting to order. Everyone, if you have a seat, if not, first matter is the roll call.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Anderson?
Here.
Mr. Castillo?
Here.
Ms. Gill?
Here.
Ms. Litton? Okay, she's not here. Ms. Russell?
Here.
And Mr. Webb?
Here.
Thank you.
Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would seek a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Castillo. Is there a second? Thank you, Mr. Webb. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Number one on the agenda is our Henderson Middle School and George Mason High School highlights.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, everybody, and happy end of the school year. This will be our last board meeting, official board meeting before the end of the school year. I want to thank all of you for your incredible work this year and the students that are here for your incredible work as well. This evening, our spotlight on Team FCCPS is on Henderson Middle School and George Mason High School. This is a complement and follow-up to the Spotlight on Learning that we did last month that featured Jesse Thackeray Preschool, Mount Daniel Elementary, and Thomas Jefferson Elementary, where our two principals have had an opportunity to talk a little bit about the work that they've done this year. And at this point, I would like to invite up to the table Valerie Hardy and Matt Hills. Valerie, of course, is principal at Mary Ellen Henderson, and Matt Hills is principal at George Mason High School. So in case the board has any questions of them after after we do the presentation. So with that, we will start the spotlight. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Valerie Hardy, finishing up my second year leading the learning here as a principal at Mary Ellen Henderson Middle School. This year for us has been a year where we've really been putting the pieces of the division placemat together. We've had a lot of good this year, and we've had a lot of growth. So when I think about our work around race and equity, right, we've had some pretty challenging moments that as a school community, we've had to rally, dig deep, and figure out how do we work together to tackle some tough issues. And out of that, we've been able to have student voice in some of those areas, as well as parent voice. So it's been really good for our community to come together and figure out how are we going to focus on making our school system safe for everybody, regardless of race, religion, gender. So that's been a really intentional work that we've done this year. We also had an awesome opportunity this year with our naturalization ceremony. So being able to bring in people who are becoming naturalized citizens to the United States coincided brilliantly with what we were learning in our civics class. So for our 7th grade, they were able to watch students become citizens and really live out that IB philosophy of how we're trying to build our learners in all of those traits. What has been really great as we think about the good, the great, and the growth is the work that we have done intentionally around race and equity here at Mary Ellen Henderson is not just our work, it's the division's work. And Dr. Noonan's been super supportive of that and helping to lead that in our community as well. So we have been able to work with some consultants who we know are going to work with our internal Falls Church City equity team to help figure out how do we make this impactful for not just our students when they're in school, but also out in the community. We've had some great business partnerships this year. Up first, I definitely want to make sure that we talk about Capital One. They have been fantastic in bringing the Capital One coders to us and really offering students opportunities to explore coding and then also walk away with some really big tangibles like new laptops and new tablets to continue the coding. And most importantly, a huge $10,000 check to help continue our coding efforts here next year, as well as Envision and Marcon, who've helped to support our STEAM initiatives. Those have been opportunities that have allowed our community to come in. Part of our community outreach has been obviously community partners helping us, but also us giving back to the community. The longstanding tradition of Give Day is something that we've been able to continue to raise even more meals that we've been able to package and send. And this year we also introduced a sock drive that our PE dynamic duo spearheaded, and students purchased socks, and those socks and the fundraising efforts helped to donate prosthetic legs to people across the world who are in need. And our students were able to purchase enough socks and raise enough funds to have 4 legs donated to people who had lost limbs. And we were able to see those people and the impact it's had on their ability to live in their communities. And additionally, we got socks that we were able to donate here to a local shelter. So we kind of are making sure we go full circle in how we're supporting our community as they support us. Giving students voice, especially at this developmental stage, is critical. And one of the things that we have really wanted to increase this year is how are we asking students what they need, what they want, and giving them some voice and helping to shape how we are giving them the educational experience they need. We've had students create surveys to help us gauge where homework levels are and stress levels. Most recently, we've had students talk about how they can leave their impact in terms of social media and a project that they can leave with that. Our big event that we've been able to do this year was, which is something that I credit our student council with, is we launched our first student town hall. And that is a place in where students, teachers, administrators, we all have equal footing, and we all have an opportunity to talk about things that we're striving to do to make our school community better. Some of the recommendations are things that are easy to implement. Some of them are things that we need to problem solve together. But we can't really educate our students till we know what they need. And so an intentional focus for us next year is going to be keeping that student voice at the forefront to helping shape how we are educating them in their academic learning. As we stay in line with our division, at Mary Ellen Henderson, we have 3 goals that we've been working on in our school action plan this year as well. The first has been our multi-tiered systems of support, and that is where we have our weekly conversations in grade level team meetings where we talk about students by name and need. What's been really great about that for us is as we've talked about students by name and need, we've really been focused on how are we tracking data, how are we then using different instructional strategies to meet students where they are. And sometimes that's not always academic, right? We really have focused on the last 2 years around getting our math processes tight, getting our reading processes tight, and we really used this year to focus on, so what are those other social, emotional, and behavioral pieces that we need to start to get tight so that we're meeting the whole child need and really living the IB philosophy here. The second action plan goal that we've had this year has been around IB. And for us, that has really been doubling down on our efforts to have unit plans that are comprehensive, that really meet all of the elements of providing the full richness of IB, from the key concepts that are created to how teachers are implementing their assessments and their unit plans. And I'm super proud to say that that goal has actually been met and was met in April. And we're excited about the summer writing that'll help to build those units out even further. And then our last goal has been something that I know our division has been deeply committed to, which is supporting our students who are serviced in special populations and really closing those achievement gaps. We've had some new positions come into the division that have supported us with that work, as well as our own internal positions with a math specialist, and have really been able to differentiate and bring in those strategies that are good for all learners, but really targeted at making sure that our learners who we want to see the greatest gains with thrive in the classrooms. Going into year 3 here, I am excited because I feel like all of the work that we have done last year, all of the intentional focus we've done this year around students, the community, collaboration, and ultimately our action plan goals, we are in prime position next year to really sort of hit the ground running and stretch ourselves as professionals and stretch our students further. We've got some exciting things on the horizon. And ultimately, I'm just excited that we've got all the right people on the bus to make it happen, whether they're teachers in the building, parents in the community, our local community resources, and ultimately our students who make coming to work every day super fun.
Welcome to this year's State of George Mason High School. My name is Matt Hills. I'm the principal here at George Mason, and it's hard to believe that another year has flown by. I am so excited to share with you and showcase some of the unbelievable moments that we've had this year. First, I'd like to start by talking a little bit about some of our goals for this year. One of our goals was really to make sure that we were focusing on student well-being. The program we developed this year, called Wild Horse Wednesdays, was really in an effort to address the social emotional learning piece that often we miss as educators. This year, students met in their stable groups. They had anywhere between 10 and 15 students and a teacher or a mentor who facilitated many of the topics that we discussed this year. Topics such as mental health, topics that included also the IB learner profile traits. One of the things we did that we were so proud of, we actually ended up getting a world-renowned mental health speaker named Russ Zabo, who came in and talked a little bit about the challenges of mental health and making sure that we really destigmatize that particular saying. So we want students to be able to openly discuss how they are feeling, which can ultimately help everyone as we work as a team in this particular building. A second goal of ours at George Mason was really to focus on language instruction with many of our EL students. And so one thing that we did this year was we started a LEAP cohort. This is a model that we really want to use moving forward, but it's an opportunity for us to meet the needs of the individual learners in our building. We talk about student data. We have teachers from all different subject areas and disciplines who have those students in their particular class talking about what can we do to ensure the success of each student. We have seen a rise in many of our scores, especially when it comes to our math SOL scores, as well as our reading SOL scores. We have just so many wonderful teachers in this building that are instructing our students in a way that is so unique. When you think about project-based learning and using the IB learner profile traits to make sure that our students are learning about the academics, but they're learning about life skills. As we move towards a more standards-based grading model, one of the things we're really trying to focus on is making sure that students attain skills that will allow them to be successful beyond high school. This year we've had many of our math teachers who have been experimenting with a math workshop, which is really a small group collaborative learning model, and students are always engaged with the material in small groups. We had several of our coordinators, including Mr. Seamus O'Connor, who assisted us in the beginning of the year and has helped us with that professional development component that really our teachers have used to benefit all of our students in our building. When we think about high leverage instructional practices, one of our teachers that truly exemplifies how we focus on student-centered learning in FCCPS is Mr. Mark Robarge. He was our FCCPS Teacher of the Year. And when you think about clear objectives, critical thinking, and creative expression through IB art, Mark Robarge does it all. One thing we are so proud of at George Mason is we've been piloting a standards-based grading program in our Language and Literature 9 courses. So this practice really aims to transform assessment, and we want grading to be ultimately more fair, accurate, and aligned with our programs, all the way from pre-K up to 12th grade. And that includes our PYP, MYP, as well as our diploma programs. Next year, we are beginning a standards-based grading cohort with 40 teachers, both from the middle school and the high school, and a lot of our practices that we've used this year will be implemented moving forward. We can never forget about all of the extracurricular activities that happen at George Mason. When you think about how talented our students are inside the classroom, but also outside of the classroom, their artistic and athletic accomplishments are second to none. From the curious incident of the dog in the nighttime to the continued excellence of George Mason High School band and chorus, to the third World Championship qualification for our robotics team, all of our students in this building continue to excel. I'd love to highlight our athletic seasons, which include a boys swim state title, amongst other strong seasons. Our students continue to showcase their excellence at every single opportunity. I am so proud of what the George Mason High School students have accomplished this year. This continues to be an incredible place for students to learn. We really truly focus on the whole child. As a community, I strongly believe that our growth mindset helps us understand that we collaborate, apply strategic actions, and continue to strive to excel. As this school year comes to a close, it's hard to believe that in less than 2 years, we're going to be moving into a brand new building. We are so unbelievably excited for the groundbreaking, which is happening in less than a week, June 14th at 2 p.m. And it talks